Okay, so last time we got the work done on getting this slab down to thickness and getting the top and the back faces cleaned off. We also worked out that it's probably better to have the not quite so good joints on the top, because most of the areas that are an issue will be covered by the scratch plate and control cavities and stuff. So now we're ready to get this cut out, and I think I've got it positioned in kind of just about the right position for where I want it. And normally at this point we'd be skipping our way across the workshop over to the bandsaw, and 5 minutes later we would have a body shaped piece of wood. However, that's not what this build's about, is it? Any of you who haven't seen the previous episodes, this build is about making a Telecaster with an approximation of the set of tools that I had at my disposal when I made my first Telecaster all those years ago. And I didn't have a bandsaw back then. What I had was a jigsaw. And it wasn't even a good jigsaw like this one. It was a rubbish jigsaw, but it did the job. So that's what I'm going to use to cut this body out. Now, this is where we get into the difficulties of making stuff with the wrong tools or a limited toolkit, because when you use a bandsaw, as long as your table's set up properly, you are cutting at 90 degrees to that table. And if you've got a nice sharp blade in, you will get a cut at 90 degrees, which means you can cut pretty close to that line and be confident that you're not removing any material on the back that you don't want to. This is not the same with a jigsaw. This blade hasn't got guides top and bottom like a bandsaw has. It has a fixed position at the top, and it's free to flex and wiggle about as much as it likes. Hopefully, this being a brand new blade, that won't be too much of an issue. And I've got a big box of blades, so if this one gets dull, we can swap it out for another one. But I think it's fairly safe to say that jigsaws aren't really designed for cutting out 1 3/4 inch thick guitar bodies. So this is always going to be a little bit of a compromise, and it could end very badly. So I'm just going to take my time and see what we can do. I remember when I did the first one, the blade deflected massively. Luckily it deflected away from the body, so I just had more material to take off in the next stage. I'm hoping that we don't go down that route again. So I've just done kind of the first bit, and I'm just checking with the square, and we are running ever so slightly out of square, but it's not too bad, and we're running the right way, so we've got more waste than we actually need. And I'll bring you in closer and you can be able to see that I'm cutting about 1/4 inch away from the line here, leaving a good margin so that when we get to the next stage, which will be to put the template on and use the router to trim this up, we've got a good bit of material to play with. Okay, and there's the kind of basic shape cut out. In terms of how square it is, it depends. In some places it's not bad, in other places it's quite bad. Happily though, it's all out of square in the right direction. And what I mean by that is I've got more material at the bottom than I have at the top. So it means that I haven't come inside the boundaries of the body anywhere. So we're all good to go. I used 2 blades to do this, and to be honest, that one's still quite sharp. This one, not so much, but they've both kind of got burnt up as well. It was getting very hot. I was going through that, perhaps could have done it a bit slower, but there you go, we're done with that stage of the job. Quite a tricky stage. I'm happy that I've got through it without causing any problems. You will never fully understand how close I was to just saying screw you guys and going over to the bandsaw and finishing it off, because this was just so much hard work. But I stayed true to the premise of the build, and I've done it with the jigsaw, and we're okay. We're where we need to be with it. So next up, we need to get this template fastened on in position, and then break out the router again and start working my way through. Now obviously this template is 3 times as thick as it needs to be, and the body is very thick, so there's not a router bit in the world really that's going to deal with that. But what I'll do is I will go round, I'll probably do 1/2 inch down from the top, and then I can use what we've routed at the top level as our template and just take the rest of it out. It might even be the case that I have to come in from the back as well. I don't know. It's a long time since I've done this method. I can't really remember what I did last time, but I'm sure we can get there. Now, normally I go super glue and masking tape. However, on this job I've got the luxury that I can put a screw in here under the bridge, and I can put a screw in here into where the neck pocket will be routed out, and we can hold it in place that way, which I think I will do in this instance, just to be ultra sure that this isn't going to move anywhere. Nearly forgot there that I didn't have an impact driver when I built the first one. Not that that would really matter that much, but I thought I'd try and stay as true to the build as possible. So I've got the template screwed on now, that's good and solid. I've got a bearing guided bit in the router, and I've set this up so it's probably taking about 1/4 inch cut out of the top. I'm going to work my way down in small increments as much as I can with the template on, and then I'm going to have to whip it off and just use what we've routed as our template. Now with these 1/4 inch bits, there's sometimes a little bit of movement with the bearing, so with this being soft pine, it's probably going to put a witness mark around the edge where the bearing runs. I'm hoping that that will only be in the area that we're going to cut away with the binding channels, but it might also be the case that we have an additional bit of sanding to do just to get those marks out, but with this method can't really be helped. Now I have got a beautiful 4-flute cutter from Radian Tools, which would be perfect for routing the edge on this body because it's big enough. However, this is a router table bit. This is not a handheld bit. There is no way on earth I'd be able to control this. It would just be taking too much of a cut, and I would end up flirting something across the workshop, either the guitar body, the router, or me. So we're not going there, unfortunately. I do have a router table that I could use, but I didn't have one when I did my first build. So We're doing it in increments. Okay, so you can see there I've done probably about the first ½ inch, and it's going okay. There's a little bit of kind of inconsistency and roughness that we'll have to clean up once we finish with the routing, but we are getting somewhere near. So I've swapped out for a bigger router bit, so I'll just take a couple of more passes, get it down as far as I can with the template on, and then we'll get that stripped off and take it from there. Okay, so I've done 3 passes around this now with the template on, and I'm getting to the point now where I no longer have the ability to reach it with any of my bits. So I've taken the template off, and we're just going to start working our way around again without the template, and hopefully we can get this down without too much issue. I don't think I'm going to have to fasten the template on the back, which is a good thing because it would have been a bit of a pain to line it all up. Okay, and there it is, all routed. It's actually gone quite well. I'm genuinely happy with it. We've found one little hole right in there, but it's not too bad. There is a little bit of a chip out there. I might be able to just sand that back a bit and lose that. But generally, I think we've actually done quite well. There is another little mark there, but it's nothing too bad. And there is a little bit of kind of chatter along there. Interestingly, it doesn't seem to have put any marks into the side from the bearings of the cutters, which is nice. But all in all, I think we've done okay there. That could have gone an awful lot worse. Now, I think the key to this, if you're going to do it, is just take little bites. Literally 3 or 4 mil at a time and just work your way down. And in some instances, I had actually left on quite a lot of meat. So then it was just a case of kind of like nibbling it down first, not trying to go straight all the way down so that the bearings touching, just work that material away slowly. So we've got ourselves the outline of a body. There's a little bit of sanding up to do, so I'm going to make a start on that off camera because that's going to look very, very boring for you, but I'll make a start on it. We'll get some of that done before next time, and then we can start to think about getting the pickup routes and the control cavity route done on this, and possibly even start to consider looking at the binding. But all of that is going to be for future episodes. I'm going to leave this one here. I'm going to walk away a happy man and come back to you in a couple of days' time when we can start the rest of that work. So as always, don't forget to hit that like button if you've enjoyed this. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.